Welcome back to Life and Living. He's taken the wine market in New Jersey by storm. He is Gary Fisch, owner and CEO of Gary's Wine and Marketplace. How are you doing, Gary?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure because we love wine. We love talking about wine, and it's beyond wine. Tell us about Gary's and what you do and who you serve.
Well, we have 4 locations. Wayne, which is closest to here, Madison, Bernardsville, and we just recently opened in Hillsborough. We have complete marketplace, so we have fresh cut cheeses, meats, charcuterie, we have handcrafted beers, we have spirits.
Wine tasting, right?
We do wine tastings all the time, we do spirit tastings, we do beer tastings. So we're really your one-stop shop for entertaining, and we have a lot of fun with it also.
It feels like a lot of fun when you walk in there. You know, it doesn't feel like you're kind of run-of-the-mill liquor store. It feels like you can walk in and kind of have an experience there. Is that what you hoped your customers would feel?
You know, my belief is that it's really not customers that come in, they're our guests. So we want to treat people like our guests, like you're coming into our home. And homes are well lit, they're appointed properly, and you have everything. So you have cheese platters to go with your cheese gift, or if you need something for entertaining. We sell glassware, and we have knowledgeable people. Like coming to your house, you know what you're serving for dinner, you come to our store and you ask about wine, the people there know the product, and they'll be able to help you pick out what you like.
You know, wine and even beer, you know, can be intimidating when you don't know enough about it. You talked about training your staff. How do you train them? How do you keep them up to speed with everything that's happening in the industry?
That's a great question, and we talk about that all the time. One of the things we do is we taste wines all the time. Yesterday we tasted
That's a fun job, huh?
Well, yesterday we tasted 20 wines. We rejected 18 of them because we didn't think they worked for us. And then when we taste, we have two issues. One is quality for us and quality for our consumer, because we may not always like the same thing. So you really have to have 2 hats on, what you would drink personally and what you think broad market people would like.
Do you have a sense of your clientele and what they look for?
Oh, absolutely. And each store has a slightly different clientele. And it's up to the wine teams on the floor. And we have a wine team, beer team, spirits team, the team members to engage the guests. So when you come in, it's not just, hi, how are you? Here's a bottle of wine. It's what are you doing with it? What have you had before that you've liked? What do you want out of the wine or the spirit? So we try to work with you to get an understanding of what you're looking for to help guide you in the right direction.
Do you find that there's a difference in what people are looking for based on their age? In other words, you know, the older generation or millennials today, you know, are they looking for different things?
It is amazing, you know, the whole millennial discussion, and the discussion is happening faster than they're becoming consumers. So
explain what you mean by that.
We're talking about it and we see the trends, but they don't have the dollars yet to spend like my generation.
Right.
So what happens is...
So they're not going for a $50 bottle of wine when they're buying a bottle to bring to a friend's house?
Not at all. And my generation are driven by scores, you know, Parker, Spectator.
Explain what that is for people
So
who
there
don't
are
know.
wine writers. You know, this Wine Spectator is a great magazine, and they do a lot of educational things, and they review wines. Robert Parker has a magazine that he rates thousands of wines a year, and it's a numbers game in this case, where it gets 97 points. I don't always agree with scoring wines, but if people buy wine, I'm happy no matter how they buy wine. So that's where my generation got into wine. The millennial generation is much more experimentation, and their shopping cart is very different. A dry rosé, a 6-pack of handcrafted beer, and a bourbon. It could be a specialty gin and Sauvignon Blanc. So their cart is very different and much more experimental, not as name brand oriented as the past couple generations. So it's much more interesting.
So you mentioned rosé, and I see that you brought one here. And my understanding of rosé was that rosé was the wine you never bring, or the wine you really don't drink, but all of a sudden it's back.
It's back here. It never left Europe. I grew up, you know, with the White Zinfandel. You know, first it was Mateus and Lancers, a little bit fruitier, a little bit sweeter, and then it became White Zinfandel, which was really sweet pink.
Too sweet, in my opinion.
Too sweet, especially if you want it as a beverage to consume with food. Rosé.
What kind of food goes with a rosé?
Anything. Think salads,
Okay.
lighter, fresh fruit.
Fish or no? This is more the
Yeah,
kind of,
you can have fish.
Okay.
I wouldn't do a heavy, like a salmon
Right.
or tuna, but a lighter fish you could
Okay.
do. Also depends on the sauce.
it's got the screw top. Is that a no-no when you see a bottle with a screw top?
Absolutely not. There's no negative to a screw top. Wines usually are fresher in a screw top. Buying wine for long-term aging, jury's still out. But what we're talking about is $10 to $20 bottles. If it has a screw top, ignore that. It's easy to open. You don't even have to have a corkscrew.
Look
Perfect.
at that. You're a simple guest. Ara Pathway, Sauvignon Blanc. Tell us about this wine that you brought
New
here.
Zealand is on fire still. New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. Ara, it's like a $13 Sauvignon Blanc. It represents the quintessential New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Great fruit, good acidity, goes lively with shellfish, oysters. It could also go with salads, lighter foods. Definitely springtime, summertime drinking is awesome.
One of my favorites, I have to say. We've got a Russian River Pinot Noir, also one of my favorites because I feel like a Pinot Noir is very versatile.
It absolutely is. It's the whole sideways thing. Pinot Noirs exploded, and then maybe too many people did too much with
Think it
Pinot
got a
Noir.
little too trendy, a
So
little too-
some of them, the less expensive, maybe not so great. Hartford has been making great Pinot Noirs forever. And Russian River is one of the best places in the world to grow Pinot Noir. And it's a lush, great, full-bodied Pinot Noir. Great with salmon and tuna. Great with fish in the summertime. Awesome bottle of wine.
Before we keep going, local wines, right? I know that that's one of kind of the goals is to shop local. Are you
Yeah.
talking New Jersey? Where are you looking?
Well, when we look for local, we look in our region. So the rosé we brought is from Long Island. We're looking at a lot of Finger Lake wines. They have some great Rieslings up there. And we have experimented with some of the New Jersey wines. So for us, local is a blend of almost a tri-state area,
Right. And
so
New York has
New York has a
so
lot.
much property, so much land.
Local for us in beer, though, is different. We sell an enormous amount of New Jersey beers, and we're doing really well with them. We love supporting them.
There's a real push for local craft brew these days.
And there are a lot of great local craft beer, and it's
Yeah.
fun to experiment.
Yes.
It goes back to the millennials we were
Yeah.
talking. Whoever you are, whatever age group, experimentation is so much fun.
So you have a good tip for people who are bringing a bottle of wine to a dinner party to make sure that that bottle gets opened. What do you recommend?
It's so funny because I go to dinner parties, and sometimes depending on the group, I want to bring a wine that I want to drink
That night.
to make sure that I'm drinking good wine.
Right.
So I'll go there and I'll say, look at the wine I brought for us to share together tonight. So it may be a hammer, but it's as subtle as I can be, making sure that they know that I would love to drink this wine I brought with them tonight.
Right now. What are some of the challenges of running a liquor store in New Jersey?
There's a challenge with running any business. When we first started not that long ago, in 1987, we had one store, 1,200 feet, 3 employees. Now we have 4 stores, 150 employees.
But they're not all in your name.
No, well, there's 4 Gary's Wine and Marketplaces. My wife owns 2, I own 2.
Why is that?
Because
New
liquor
Jersey
laws
laws?
in New Jersey.
Yeah. I had a feeling you'd say something having to do with legislation.
Well,
and
it's a
legalities.
challenge in any business. But with us, where the ABC is there to protect us and the citizens, and so there are rules and regulations, license limitation. There's a lot of rules that we have to play by.
But you love it?
I love the business. I fell in love with wine when I was 21. I love tasting wine. I love turning people onto it. I love experimenting. It's a lot of fun.
Love it. Well, thank you. We had a lot of fun. Gary Fisch, owner and CEO of Gary's Wine and Marketplace. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
My name is Dr. John Rundback. I'm actually the medical director of the Interventional Institute here at Holy Name Medical Center. Peripheral arterial disease actually is extremely common. It's one of the forms of hardening of the artery. As interventional radiologists, we perform minimally invasive image-guided procedures. Generally, the procedures we do are alternatives to what would otherwise be major surgery. Almost 80% of those patients can avoid amputation if they're referred for us for these sort of procedures.
Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. 1-877 Holy Name. Healing begins here.
Also brought to you by New Jersey State Nurses Association and the Institute for Nursing, and by the Northward Center.